Hello everyone, welcome back to our second session all together. How was your break? Was your break fun or not? Anyway, I hope that you really enjoyed during your break. So now let's move to our second session all together. And according to our schedule, you are going to learn about grammar galaxy 1, right? So unit 14, what is that smell? What is that smell? So you still continue with W equation. But the W equation that you are going to learn today, we focus on subject question, right? Because for the previous lesson, you also learned about yes no question, but the kind of question that you already know about the subject, right? You ask with the subject. But today you use the W equation as a subject. So how to use yes no question as the subjects? Here we use what or who plus verb to ask about the subject of an action. So it means you have to ask an act and subject of an action because you don't know who or what do that action. So you have to ask about the subject actions. So who do that action and what action does he or she do, like this. So if you want to know about who, you can ask who, and if you want to know about what action that he or she do, you can ask about what. So note, the verb in a subject question is always in the third person singular. It is mean that you have to use verb in the question with third person singular. So how to use verb with third person singular, everyone? So you have to add s, change y to ies, or add es, right? I hope you remember the form of add s, es, and change y to ies with third person singular. So now let's move to our example. Who lives there? Who lives there? So here we don't know about the subject yet, right? So when we don't know about the subject yet, you can ask who plus verb, and verb you can see we have to add s because verb always third person. Why always third person? Because we don't know who, right? So how can we know about the singular plural? So the best way is use with third person singular only. So who lives there? Who? When you don't know about a person who lives there, so you can ask with who. And here we don't know about the subject yet, right? So the answer is the Green family. So now you know about the subject. Exactly. Now you know about the subject. Let's go to the next one. What costs $10? Here, you want to know about the action of the subject. You want to know what action that the subject do. What action? So, the clothes cost $10. These clothes cost $10. So, an action of subject is clothes, right? So, what we buy and what costs $10 is clothes, right? Alright, who is talking? Who is talking? Because you don't know about that person, you just hear the sound, so you don't know who is talking. So you can say Anne and Kat are talking. You might ask teacher, here we use is. Why we use are here? Because as you can see the note here, the question must be third person singular. Verb must use with third person singular. That's why we have to use is. But the answer, we already know the subject. So they are plural subject. That's why we have to use are. We don't use is anymore. Now let's go to number 4. What surprised you? What surprised you? You can see you here. You think it's the subject. No, you here as an object because you want to know an action of an object, right? You want to know an action of the subject. So what surprised you? What surprised you? Like you can see here, to ask about subject of an action, right? You want to know what kinds of action that surprised that person. You want to know about it. That's why you say the news. So it is mean that the news is the one of an action that surprise you. Is it right? Alright, everyone. Hopefully you can understand. But before we end about lesson, now let's just sum up the lesson for you first. So the lesson today we focus on how to use who and what to ask about an action of the subject, because we don't know about an action of the subject. That's why we want to know. But when you ask about who, it means that you want to know about a person who do an action. But if you ask about what, you want to know that what action does he or she do. Again, everyone. So when you use who to ask about the subject, it means that you want to ask about what? About who do that action. Who do that action. But if you ask about what, you want to know what action that he or she do. So it's opposite, right? Who asks about a person who do an action, and what we ask about, what kinds of we ask about an action that he or she does, or that we can say that he or she did, like this. So one asks about a person action, and one asks about an action of a person. So it's opposite. So don't get confused between two of this one. Alright, class. Hopefully you can understand. But if you still feel concerned about teacher, I don't understand who, or I don't understand about an action of subject or subject of action. So you can ask your homeroom teacher for more detail if you still feel concerned, because as I earlier mentioned already, so who we used to ask about a person action, and what we used to ask about an action of a person. It means that if you want to know who do an action, you can ask who. But if you want to know what kinds of action that he or she do, you can ask with what. Alright, class. Hopefully you can understand between two of this one. Alright, so now let's go to our today exercise. After you have learned from this video already, or from this lesson already, now the teacher would like to move to point C. Look at each picture, match to complete the question. Here, you have to look at the picture and match with the question, and then you can go to D, right? From C, look at the picture, match to complete the question, and then you can go to D, write who or what to complete the question. Alright, in order to complete this one, you have to understand about this question want to ask about an action of a subject, or want to ask about who do an action. If you want to ask about who do an action, you use with who. But if you want to ask an action of subject, you can use what. Alright, so now our today's lesson is finished. If there's still any question about today's lesson and also exercise from A to D, you can ask your homeroom teacher for more detail. Now today's lesson is finished. See you again tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone.